I'll be honest with you guys, and I will make it a policy to continue being honest. I overhyped Granblue Rising in my head, and after playing the beta, I don't think this game is for me. Welcome back everyone, Personality here, bringing you all the news from the wider fighting game community, whether it's from a competitive or casual perspective. Now here's why I'm worried about Rising to a certain extent. It was previously rumored that this game would be launching by August, although this may not have been officially confirmed. With this small gap of time along with what was presented in the beta, I feel like this game is a pass for me. I'll start with the negatives. So far, there has not yet been a beta like Street Fighter 6 that has hooked me or convinced me to buy the game. This is due to the sheer offering of things to do in the beta as well as the fresh feel of Street Fighter 6. The Rising beta launched without a proper way to lab for a quick second, and despite it launching with over 20 characters, the timing was also a weird experience. But I'm more so focusing on the game rather than how they did this service. The menu was extremely dull. For some reason, games with an RPG origin tend to pop off with menus, but the UI was just boring, albeit very straightforward and easy to navigate. With their adjustment to simple and technical inputs, I found little to no reason to even bother with technical, as there is no actual difference between these inputs. Luckily, no one knows what inputs you use, so there's no need for the whole raging against newer players discourse. While this version was just a beta, I feel that most models had an unpolished look to them, as if not rendered properly. This isn't to say it's a graphical issue, but they just looked strange. Speaking of characters, these have got to be some of the most generic looking anime characters in Armor that I've seen. I think the voice actors do a great job at injecting personality into each one, but there's no design that is too memorable, with exceptions being Siegfried and Belial to a certain degree. Ladiva has a cool design somewhat, but his portrayal boils down to the stereotypical Japanese view of buff men. The combat is a double-edged sword for me. I really appreciate how grounded it is, and the focus on neutral gameplay makes matches methodical and interesting. It just feels like characters are heavy and slow, which might be a design choice since they're mostly clad in armor. But that being said, characters don't feel too vastly different from each other. This isn't to imply that their core mechanics don't allow them to be easily differentiated. I think it serves as a great way for anyone to pick up multiple characters and not feel too overwhelmed by learning specifics immediately. There are more technical characters, but I doubt one would spend too much time having to worry about beginner level picks. The connection was great, and I rarely experience lags or disconnections, with possibly only 2 cases I can recall. I know there is more to come, especially with the story mode. I just think that Rising may have already turned off hardcore fighting game players with the combat design choices they've made. This game sits in a weird place. It looks like an anime fighter, but plays like a footsie focused game that has reduced its learning curve difficulty to almost 0. In this effort, the game tries to satisfy 2 parties with conflicting presentations that would leave any potential buyer confused. Perhaps the rollback is still enough to get more people interested, but Granblue fails to deliver anything vastly different from its superior competitors. It's gonna be a niche community, and it would be a shame to see this game become a Discord fighter in no time. Most reviews imply that the first game was essentially a really well done package with its combat and other offerings. The main issue with the first Granblue Versus really boiled down to the netcode used for the game. I appreciate the color options and even the ability to swap weaponry to add a little expression to your characters. Stages are nicely designed, they're lovely to look at, and I like that they offer some change in the 3rd round. The roster is decently sized, and with the history of Granblue characters, many more are potentially on their way. No one can really predict a lifespan of a game, but based on the popularity of rollback, this may still be a great game for beginners. The reason I mention this is because I doubt anyone new to fighting games would want to queue up via an additional layer of communication to play if this game erodes into a potential Discord fighter. That's just purely speculation and feeling and should be taken with a grain of salt. All in all, I had fun playing the game and I would recommend it to anyone new or old to this genre. I just think I'll skip it, and I don't really want to add it into my rotation of fighters. But guys, that's all that we're going to be talking about today in this video. If you did take part in the Granblue beta, I'd love to hear your opinion. What's your perspective on this game in the comments below? And of course, I'll see you in the next video. But until then, stay gaming.